Hi there, and welcome to this episode of Uncrowned Diaries. Today I wanted to talk to you about something that I really hope you understand before you get into whichever pageant you're choosing to get into. And the fact is that pageants are incredibly challenging mentally, and there's a couple of reasons why. The first thing, unfortunately, that is really tough is that there's a lot of preparation that goes into these pageants, and a lot of that preparation is very public. When you put yourself out there, there's an announcement being made that you're entering this pageant, and you can keep it quiet for a little while, but eventually it is going to come out. And you put a lot of effort into this, and it's getting judged on a public stage. And a lot of times, no matter how good you are and how much you prepared, you might still not win. And that's a tough one for many people because, it's challenging enough to give it 100%. But when you give something 100% and you still don't get out of it what you're expecting, that can really be a big blow to a person. So pageants can unfortunately only crown one person. Now, mind you, I said crown one person. I didn't say there can only be a winner, because the truth is there can be more than one winner, and it really depends what you do with your pageant and that journey. So let me give an example of what I mean by that. My very first pageant that I went into, I didn't win, I didn't place. However, when the pageant was done, given that I didn't get myself a crown, I got myself a lot of work. In fact, I worked nonstop for the next year. It got to the point where I had the privilege, and I call it a real privilege, to say no to certain projects and to pick and choose what I wanted to do. For a newbie in the industry, that's not usually the case. You have to earn your stripes, you have to work yourself up, you have to do projects that you don't necessarily love in order to get the projects that you do love and get some experience under your belt and build your portfolio. For me, I got really lucky. I say lucky because it's not like I had some special talent per se. I mean, I was talented and I was hardworking, but I was also quite lucky that I was given those opportunities and people were interested in me despite the fact that I didn't win a crown. So was I a winner? In retrospect, yeah, I think I was in many ways. I probably was one of the girls that came out of that particular competition with a ton of work and work that I had choices in. So in that regard, I consider myself a winner. But did I win the pageant? No, I didn't. And I didn't take home a crown. I didn't place. And so that was a tough one to swallow, because going into the pageant, I really felt like I had a really good chance. A lot of people were speculating that I was going to win, and I let that get to me. I let other people's opinions get me thinking that I was going to win. And so that was a huge disappointment for me. So that in itself makes pageants extremely challenging. The other part that's very challenging about it is the fact that when you don't win, there's no closure per se. Everyone's working so hard and it's like, go, go, go. There's so much buildup, especially in that last week of, pageant week. And then boom, it's just all done. And everyone just goes home and you just go back to your regular life. And you're just like, so all that was for nothing? And that's one way people feel, women feel when they come out of pageants, like I went through all of that and boom, like it's all done now and I put in all that effort and nothing came out of it. It's very easy to feel that way. So my advice is, going into the pageant, be very strategic. Why am I doing this? What do I want out of this? And you're going to be like, I want the crown. That's why I'm doing this. But more than the crown, if your why is bigger than the crown and your crown is just a stepping stone to get there, then you can find other stepping stones other than the crown that you can focus in on. And I think that's a good way to look at it, so you just don't feel like it's all for nothing kind of deal. The other part that's really tough is that sometimes in this process, like, you have to be your biggest supporter. You have to really believe that you're going for it, right? To win. And so you communicate that to the people around you. You communicate that to your sponsors. And then there's this sense of responsibility too that comes with it, where you're just like, I didn't win, and I told everyone that I had a really good chance, and now to go back and like some of those people are like, they're going to judge me and they're going to say things, and maybe they are, maybe they're not, but in our heads, after you come out of pageant life and, working so hard for this pageant, that is potentially one of the things that could go through your head, and you could worry about the fact that, people are going to say something to me, or what face do I have to show now? And I'm embarrassed because I was so sure I was going to get it. And I said that to people, and they voted for me, and they put their money behind me, and I have nothing to show for it, so don't worry. These people who supported you, if they're your true supporters and they were there to help you with your dream, they'll keep helping you. Maybe not exactly in the same way right again, but they will when they see that you're putting in the effort and you're doing this. And I just want to remind you, there's so many women in pageant world that have gone back once, twice, thrice, even more before they win, but they do win. So, just to let you know that for some people, they're not going to get what they'd hoped for the first couple of tries, but you just if it's something that's important to you, keep at it. If it's not important to you and you just wanted to try, give it your best shot, and you're like, nope, I'm done, then you're done. Another reason why it's tough is it happens usually once a year. That's it. You have all this build up leading, and then you have to wait for a whole year before you even get at it again. And, yes, many circuits like Miss Universe Canada and just Miss Universe pageants in general, they've removed the age limit, so you won't age out of the system, but you might age out of your lifestyle in pageant world, meaning to say you might decide you want to have kids, you might decide you want to start a new business, you might decide that you want to travel for a little while, or whatever it is that you want to do that's not going to allow you to necessarily get into pageant prep the following year because your lifestyle is changing and it doesn't support that. So there's a whole host of reasons, but that can also make pageant world very difficult for some, because they feel like, I have to move on with other aspects of my life, or I have to get this job that's not going to give me all this spare time to go off for a week and just walk around in heels and pretty dresses and lead a pageant lifestyle. Or, some people feel like they have to separate their professional life from their pageant life and things like that. So pageant world can be difficult because it has a certain image with it, that certain people may still have this archaic idea of what a pageant is, and you're trying to be taken seriously, and at the same time you don't win, and you need a support system, but now you have to explain to your support system why you didn't win. And so pageants are challenging for different reasons, and some people think it's worth it and other people don't. But ultimately at the end of the day, you need to be really strong with your why. And I hope you know that pageants are a mental game more than anything else. And if you say otherwise, then you've not been in pageant world long enough. Pageants truly are a mental game. Yes, all the other stuff's important, but it's a mental game more than anything else. It's like long distance running, which also, by the way, is a huge mental game. But you have to stay the course. You have to know your why. And it is a difficult place to be. You're getting judged on a whole host of things, and sometimes you don't know what those are, and you put your best foot forward, and you're the best version of yourself, and your best version of yourself still isn't enough to win the crown that year. And that's a tough pill to swallow. So before you get into pageant world, these are just a few of the things I hope you know about it. Okay, so I still say go for it. I say, why not try everything once at least? And if you love it, keep doing it. But pageant world tests a part of you, makes you a lot stronger. And for some people, yes, it does break you, but that's the reason why we have the Uncrowned Diary, so that you can thrive in this environment. You understand you're not the only person going through it, and there's other girls just like you having their journeys and finding their challenges along the way. And if you've been watching this series long enough, then you know oh yeah, she's right. She's had her own set of challenges, right? So I've shared some of them. I forget which ones I've shared, but I've shared a lot of them. It's just like, like they say, when it rains, it pours. Sometimes it does feel like that. Like we get one hit and then the next hit and then something else happens and something else happens. You want to just throw your hands up and just feel like, ah. But the reason pageants keep going, the reasons why there's so many of them and there's so many women getting involved in them is because there is an awesome side to it. There is a fun part to it. There are lifelong friendships to build, and there are networks to create, and there are ways to grow yourself as a person. It's a great self-development journey to take in pageant world, but it certainly is not an easy one for many. So these are just some of the things I hope you know about pageant world.